All right, mech commanders, what is danger close? This is a term that I utilize in Battletech to kind of capture a narrative, capture a situation that you will find yourself in. And the key tactica, we're pushing up some mech warrior training here because this is the golden age of Battletech. We've got incoming kits, incoming plastic, new hex maps, just an influx of new players to the game. We want to get you up to speed. We want to get you up to speed. We want to just get you wrecking things, trashing things, and representing the clans, representing the houses, representing your mercenary company, putting the best out there, cutting down on that learning curve. Is that ambitious? We're going to do it. So this idea of danger close is, I have first mechs that come to mind. Don't worry about matchup. I have a battle master, and you have a warhammer. I've got things in my favor, right? But that's not quite the point. So we're from a distance. Okay, and right now it's just one-on-one. We're just visualizing. I know it's never one-on-one, but this is to illustrate this idea of danger close. We're walking towards each other. I'm going to be firing my PPC. You're going to fire your PPC. You've got the Warhammer. Maybe you're going to fire two. We're getting closer and closer. So we're at long range. If we had long-range missiles, we'd fire at that. The idea is maybe we do a little damage. We see kind of who blinks first. We get some ideas of what's going on. But there's not a lot of stuff hitting you. Now we close to medium range. So we're still going to be hitting with the PPCs, but now on the higher hit spectrum, you can hit with large lasers, you can hit with medium lasers. So now you've got more weapons opening up. Now we close. Now at this mid-range, I can still choose to break off. You can choose to break off. You can turn, you can duck behind something, you can change your facing, you can start backpedaling, you can disengage. There's still choices. We're starting to eat more energy and weapons and autocannons, but we can do that. Now once we close 3 to 5 hexes, this is danger close. Less than 3 is point blank. Danger close means now, with the exception of really short range, often anti-infantry weapons, flamers and machine guns, everything is in range. And the reason why I picked heavy and assault mechs is because once they close to danger close, I'm going to be firing all my lasers. I'm going to be firing autocannons. I'm going to be firing short-range missiles. We are now literally just mashing all the buttons to throw everything at each other. We're engaged. We're locked. We are danger close. We are trying to keep our facing towards each other. I've got my armor. You've got your armor. We don't want to get side. We don't want to get rear. We're locked in. We're kind of locked in, shooting at each other. If I start to break off, really break off, I can try to backpedal a little bit, but if I try to really break off, because you are so close, in the example of, say, this Warhammer, you're just going to keep on savaging me. You're just going to be, we're not talking about one PPC at long range. We're talking about lasers. We're talking about short-range missiles. We're talking about PPCs. If it's a mech, you push the heat. If it's a mech like the Grasshopper, that you have excellent heat management based on design. I can't really break off unless I'm going to eat a ton of firepower. Sometimes there's situations like, hey, if I'm in city fight, city tech, and we're danger close and I can just duck down an alley, that's a little bit different. But generally speaking, on the core hex maps, we are now locked. At that point, you're kind of all in. And I like to, at that point, especially if it's heavier machines, get to point blank. Because now I'm at point blank for everything, but I'm also going to punch. We're going to kick. We're going to be activating those aspects of Battletech. So how do we extract from danger close? Because as you trade blows with your opponent, now we're just talking one-on-one. There's going to be other mechs. You've got a lance mate. You've got subordinate combined arms. You've got that Karnov that I said go out and purchase. I gave you permission to purchase a Karnov and infantry. You're dropping those infantry. They're there for glory. There's other stuff going on. Again, we're just isolating this concept. There are times where you will need to break off. Maybe just all of a sudden you got savaged in the same place. 2 or 3 hits, left torso goes to internals. You're starting to sweat because you got ammo there. Or you're starting to sweat because maybe you took an engine hit. And it could even be just a lucky engine hit. Just one of those things, doesn't even bypass the armor, right? Double ones, roll for crit, confirm, center, engine, and you're like, wait, what happened? So maybe as a heavier machine, you have to pull out for whatever reason, you have to break off danger close. How you break this off, you're going to need a teammate to now try to start working to rear armor, just to move to rear armor, to kind of aggressively move out to the left or right to start to make a big loop. So it forces your opponent to switch, to turn, not to give full armor, and then pull off from that perspective. If you have a light or a medium that can stack some speed too, that's going to happen from that perspective. The other way to do it is to start backpedaling. Now you can't run, you got to walk, you're still facing each other, but as you pull back, if I can rush some other machines forward, and by machines could be mechs, could be vehicles, could just be a bunch of infantry. Get anything up there to begin to pull the mech back, especially if it's a heavier spectrum mech. If it's my battle master and I took some internal hits and I've got an engine hit, now I'm bleeding heat and I can't keep that up, then I'm willing to sacrifice some infantry, or I'm willing to throw up some hover vehicles just to zap around to your back and try to get you engaged there to pull off. The other aspect is, if you're locked in there, to start checking your facing. Now, this is going to cut down on the weapons fire, but and depends on the type of weapons you have. Are they torso mounted? Are they arm mounted? But this idea, let's look on the left side. If I go to left internals and I've got ammo sitting there and it's just ready to cook off and blow, if I'm locked in danger close with you face to face, can I turn my mech? Can I literally turn to the left, taking that off, switching the damage from the center chart over to the right side chart, and at least have my right side, and maybe I've got a right arm mounted, or I've got some weapons possibly in range for that. The other aspect and the last aspect, so it's not easy. It's not easy to disengage from danger close, which is why if you're going to commit to that, you got to commit. You got to be ready. The other thing is to literally tuck and run, to literally give some rear armor. And this is like the worst case choice. This is like I got the engine hit. I got internals with ammo just literally pouring out. I'm like dropping rockets on the ground. You're probably not going to last another turn or two. In that case, if you need to run, all of a sudden you're looking saying, hey, rear armor is better than front armor. I had this, ironically, with a longbow sitting in the back, just blasting away, longbow, just showering missiles. I was really aggravating dudes, just understandably, because I was just hiding back there, shooting everything. And finally I attracted the hate, sent some vehicles, sent some medium mechs, and longbow is a heavier weight class, but all of its tonnage is in the missiles in the weapons packs, LRMs, 20s and 5s. It's really paper thin. You look at the missile pods on the arms and you're like, is that a misprint on the sheet? Really doesn't have much. So I was taking so much damage that went to internals. Now, I had some ammo left, but I was pretty much done. This is end of the game. I've kind of shot everything I can. I mean, from the narrative, I don't want to lose the mech. That's a mech warrior. That's a machine in my army, in my mercenary company, in my great house. I don't want to lose that. But I realized it was better to keep this mech alive and keep my opponent, it might have been a Wolverine and a couple of light vehicles, some hovers that went to try and engage it. It was tactically better to keep the thing alive as long as I could and do that as opposed to trying to stay and fight or just last stand. So literally, I turned around and started running. And at that point, I was so damaged, my rear armor, and there's not much rear armor on that longbow, I had more rear armor than front armor. So there's times where rear armor is very light. That's the whole idea behind it, drawn from that tank analogy. But if you have to tuck and run and you realize, hey, it's an option of getting destroyed in a turn or two or getting out of there, always look to keep the machine alive. So not an easy place to find yourself. Not an easy place to find yourself and navigate, which is why you have to make sure when you commit to that danger close, that lock, you have an escape method or you have a way to engage in your favor. Now, obviously, light mechs don't have quite the weaponry to do that, and they have the speed. Speed negates danger close and jump jets because you can get in and out of there. It mainly applies more to the heavy and the assault class machines.